Hi. In this article, Trump and his secretaries are convinced that the current tax system represents a penalty for exporting companies and a subsidy for importing ones. In his February 28 address to Congress, Trump did not explicitly refer to the BTA, but stated my economic team is busy designing a historic tax reform that will lower the tax rate on our companies to allow them to compete and prosper anywhere and against any competitor. It will be a big reduction. We must establish a level playing field for our companies and our workers. We have to do it now. When we export our products, many other countries force us to pay very high tariffs and taxes, but when foreign companies send their products to United States, we change their nothing or almost nothing. Among the uncertainties of an unfinished proposal, the analysis cited above points out that among other instruments, the BTA could include differences taxes equivalent to the taxes returned to exports by the country of origin or a fixed tariff of purchase from abroad. It has been said that in certain cases it will be 20, 30, or 35% environment or subject import once they are import to less favorable tax treatment that nationally articles. These characteristics will conflict with various rules of the WTO and the North American Free Trade Agreement NAFTA, of course, and could be object to and give rise to reprisals by those affected. The secretary did not say to be, but it seems safe to assume that the Mexican government will not be willing to resort to additional borrowing to respond to a possible recessionary impact of protectionist actions of the United States. In an interview with Mexican television, the Secretary of Finance explained that the BTA is equivalent to putting a tariff on everything the United States imports from the world and giving in subsidiary to everything it exports to the world. This will have an impact Mexico on every year would trade with the United States, and the where we are close monitoring it. It seems to be a change that violates the principles of the WTO that we know are only draft of proposals their force. In the face of each draft proposals, we are evaluating what the impact will be. Meidi also spoke of fiscal space and said that the United States has greater fiscal space than Mexico, and therefore its borrowing capacity is greater. He said that Mexico is pursuing a reduction in the debt GDP ratio, even though its coefficient is relatively low. The secretary did not say so, but it seems safe to assume that the Mexico government will not be willing to resort to additional borrowing to respond to a possible recessionary impact of the protectionist action of the United States. At the end of April, with Trump about to reach his date in office without fulfilling practically any to the promise made for that period, and through having established and highly controversial personal style of governing. The presentation of a formal draft of tax reform was rushed, contained as the press revealed on a single page. The basic components on the reform aimed at lowering rates and simplify tax provisions with summaries by the Treasury Secretary and the Chairman of the National Economic Council. At the at a press conference on April 26, they include the basic components of the reform aimed at lowering rates and simplifying tax provisions were summarized by the Treasury Secretary and the Chairman of the National Economic Council. Regarding personal income tax, reduce the rate brackets from 10 to just 3, 10% and 25% and 35%, and lower the top marginal rate from 39 to 33%, double the basic reductions, that is the annual extent income of married couple to 24,000. Eliminate the alternative minimum tax, return the top tax rate on dividends and capital gains to 20% by eliminate the 3.8% supercharge on the health care system. Eliminate inherited tax review the system of tax deductions and benefits, reducing most of them without affecting mortgage, interest, and charity deductions. Regarding corporate income tax, reduce the rate from 35 to 15% with a territorial system that only considers income and cost generated in the United States. Impose a one-time low and attractive tax per funds 10% to unrepaid profits. The accumulated profits abroad of US corporations who are estimated to be in the range of 2.6 trillion. The same reform regime will apply to medium and small companies and many others, including those in the construction sector. It was decided not to include the BTA in the reform. The first concern expressed was regarding the impact of the reform on the budget deficit. It is estimated that the proposed reduction in the corporate tax will in turn reduce revenue by $2.2 billion over 10 years. And to be offset will require a sustained increase of 0.9 points in the annual rate of economic growth over that decade. The total revenue impact of the reform was calculated at $5.5 billion. The Secretary of the Treasury suggests that tax reduction will finance their service by simulating growth in economic activity and inclusive review. Another point discussed was that of beneficiaries of the reform. Secretary Knudsen had stated on numerous occasions that the administration's tax reforms will not favor the wealthy, that there is other futures. Distributional neutrality is not one of the distinguished features of the plan. And also was they indeed if you combine the huge corporate tax cost, the equality huge cost for higher income individual, the elimination of the state tax and other incentive, where is a certainty that the vast majority of the proposals benefits will accrue to a very small fraction of taxpayers. For this reason, among other, the author of this opinion concludes that for reasons of long-term budgetary health, equality and economic consequence, it seems to that These proposals are extraordinary in clothes. The opinion of extraordinary or punitive tariff and other barriers to imports from Mexico intentional on the growth of national security or external emergency. In a study of the risks that Trump policies from Mexico and Latin America, the Economics Intelligence Unit, the opinion of extraordinary or punitive tariff and other barriers to imports from Mexico is mentioned using arguments of national security or external emergency support by laws dating from between 1917 and 1977. Gross bandwidth allows for broad discretions. The actions of this court could be denounced by our country with support from provisions of NAFTA at the WTO. Mexico has a good track record of winning disputes within NAFTA on the study the economic intelligence United States unity. Even on matters of greater importance, such across border road transport, although it took many years to obtain our favorite ruling and its application has been irregular and tuna it has also been able to direct punitive tariff well in short. Depending on the extent of USA protectionist action, Mexico can inflict significant damage or vital US export sectors such as agriculture that support Trump and the Republican Party. How in exchange or US trade barriers can induce relation from the Trump administration which will reinforce protectionist measures and lead to an open trade war. Lo que nos da a entender esta parte del artículo es acerca de un énfasis en la reforma que quiere implementar el señor Trump en su mandato, donde él da a entender a conocimiento en el que las importaciones al país se les está cobrando muy poco en comparación lo que ellos deben de pagar por las exportaciones al momento de ingresar en otro país, donde dicen que les cobran unos aranceles y unos impuestos demasiado altos por el producto de Estados Unidos. Entonces lo que implementa el señor Trump es aumentar los impuestos y las tarifas para todas las importaciones y de ese mismo modo reducir el costo de las export y de este modo así reducir el costo de los impuestos a las grandes compañías que están en el país. De esta manera así obtener mejores beneficios para las grandes compañías del país directamente internos con ellos. La mayor preocupación es que la misma cantidad que se va a recuperar al momento de aumentar los impuestos de todas las importaciones no va a ser la misma cantidad que generan las grandes empresas de este país, siendo esta pues uno de los temas que más complica o que más influyen en toda esta toma de decisiones, y del mismo modo en el que otros países la piensan muchísimo más al momento de mandar su producto a este país.